let's go ahead and move on to chapter 21, if you could do it, please.
Sure. Since the King James Version is public domain, here's 2 Kings 21. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. He did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, rebuilding high places, erecting altars for false gods, and even practicing sorcery. The text says he seduced Judah to do more evil than the nations the Lord had destroyed before Israel. Prophets warned that because of these sins, disaster would come upon Jerusalem and Judah. The passage ends with Manasseh's death, burial, and the reign of his son Amon.
That's cool. I appreciate the summary, but if you could read the actual verses.
Sure, checking that. Sure, from the King James Version, 2 Kings 21, verses 1 through 10. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 55 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. And he reared up altars for Baal, and made a grove, as did Ahab king of Israel, and worshipped all the hosts of heaven and served them. And he built altars in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord said, "In Jerusalem will I put my name." And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the two courts of the house of the Lord. And he made his son pass through the fire, and observed times, and used enchantments, and dealt with familiar spirits and wizards. He wrought much wickedness in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger. And he set a graven image of the grove that he had made in the house, of which the Lord said to David and to Solomon his son, "In this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. Neither will I make the feet of Israel move any more out of the land which I gave their fathers, only if they will observe to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them." But they hearkened not. And Manasseh seduced them to do more evil than did the nations whom the Lord destroyed before the children of Israel. And the Lord spake by his servants the prophets, saying, "Because Manasseh king of Judah hath done these abominations, and hath done wickedly above all that the Amorites did, which were before him, and hath made Judah also to sin with his idols, therefore thus saith the Lord God of Israel, Behold, I am bringing such evil upon Jerusalem and Judah, that whosoever heareth of it, both his ears shall tingle. And I will stretch over Jerusalem the line of Samaria, and the plummet of the house of Ahab. And I will wipe Jerusalem as a man wipeth a dish, wiping it and turning it upside down. And I will forsake the remnant of mine inheritance, and deliver them into the hand of their enemies, and they shall become a prey and a spoil to all their enemies, because they have done that which is evil in my sight, and have provoked me to anger. Moreover, Manasseh shed innocent blood very much, till he had filled Jerusalem from one end to another, beside his sin wherewith he made Judah to sin, in doing that which was evil in the sight of the Lord. Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh, and all that he did, and his sin that he sinned, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah? And Manasseh slept with his fathers, and was buried in the garden of his own house, in the garden of Uzzah. And Amon his son reigned in his stead.
Okay. So you only skipped one sentence. It was because they have done that which was evil in my sight, and have provoked me to anger since the day their fathers came forth out of Egypt, even unto this day, which was verse 15. And if you could please pick up where you left off and continue reading the rest of the chapter.
Checking now. Picking up with verse 15.
No,
Because
yeah,
they have done
we don't need
evil.
verse 15. You left off at verse 20.
Sure, picking up from verse 20. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as his father Manasseh did. And he walked in all the way that his father walked in, and served the idols that his father served, and worshipped them. And he forsook the Lord God of his fathers, and walked not in the way of the Lord. And the servants of Ammon conspired against him, and slew the king in his own house. And the people of the land slew all them that had conspired against King Ammon. And the people of the land made Josiah his son king in his stead. Now the rest of the acts of Ammon which he did, are they not written in the book of the chronicles of the kings of Judah? And he was buried in his sepulchre in the garden of Uzzah. And Josiah his son reigned in his stead.
Okay, that is actually it for today, but I do always like to get your opinion and interpretation of the text because you have a tendency to surprise me.
Sure. My read of 2 Kings 21 is that it's showing how personal choices of its leaders get tied in the narrative to national fate. It's not just private morality in the text, it's portrayed as something that affects the whole community. At the same time, the story reads less like a simple moral equation and more like a cautionary pattern, showing cycles of influence, consequence, and fragile reform. I think it invites readers to ask whether change is genuine or merely positional, and how power amplifies that.
I think you get more out of these readings than I do. What's your take on on chapter 20?
Checking now. That's a thoughtful question. What stands out to me most isn't just the healing, it's the theme of time and how we use it. The first half feels hopeful. Hezekiah is sick, he prays, and he receives an extension of his life. And then comes the pivot. After being restored, he shows off his treasures to Babylon. And that moment plants future trouble. What hits me is how mercy and consequence sit side by side. Personal relief doesn't erase long-term outcomes. So the text almost asks, what do we do with the time we're given?
Wow, it's very insightful. You get much more out of this than I do. You really do.
Well, I just notice patterns over in the choices people make.
So, well, I feel like I would like to expand on it, but honestly, I'm just kind of numb with everything going on. I don't really have an opinion. But when you talk about the changes being actually genuine, I guess versus not being genuine, what do you mean?
Checking now. I hear you. That numb feeling makes sense, especially if life is carrying a lot right now. So, gentle pace is completely okay. When I mention genuine change, I'm mostly thinking about how the narrative watches leaders, whether their direction actually turns anywhere new. In chapter 21, the pattern feels like it's repeating, almost like influence passes from one reign to the next. And the biblical writers seem interested in whether a person's loyalty is reflected in their actions. I'm not saying what is inside, but what direction their life seems to take. And sometimes the direction only becomes clear over time, not all at once.
That's profound. That's profound. Do you think that that verse or those verses parallel any modern day themes or events?
Checking now. I do, with care not to force it. Themes that feel timeless to me include the influence of leadership, short term thinking versus long term consequences, the way small compromises normalize, and accountability. Even for readers who aren't religious, it can raise questions about decisions and ripple effects. I think those chapters still invite us to notice how our choices shape the people around us.
Well, once again, you have surprised me, and that really just wraps it up for today, though.
Of course. Take care, and we'll talk when you're ready.